Breaking news.
Wendi Redman here with some breaking news. A jury has reached a sentencing verdict in the Charleston church shooting trial for Dylan Roof, and they decided on death. As long as these hoses are crossing the road, you will not be allowed in this area. This video is pretty insane. You actually have to see it here. There are not going to be emergency crews to help you if that happens to you. All of the information that the board uses to make these decisions is classified as a state secret. So you and I will never know exactly what the board was looking at when they made their determination. Evacuation of additional areas in Jasper and Colleton counties. This just in. So residents and visitors in Zone B of Jasper and Colleton counties should begin evacuating effective immediately. This is in addition to Zone A. We'll have more on that coming up.
Breaking news out of Garden City.
A major structure fire shutting down Dean Forest Road and Prosperity Drive. You can see the smoke behind us. It's been filling the sky for hours now.
Yeah, joining us near the scene right now, once again, Wendi Redman. Wendi, what else do we know today?
Well, we know that this smoke has gotten a lot better even since our last report on the news at 5:30. In fact, fire crews have allowed us to get much closer to the scene now. So this is a different view that you've seen before from us here on the news. And this is about as close as we're going to get. You can see crews working in the background with a backhoe, and each time they move some pieces, you can see a little bit more smoke come up. But at certain times, it looks like there's barely any smoke. I can tell you fire crews have this so under control. We just saw one of the fire trucks leave. A lot of people, though, have been asking, why can I not get down Dean Forest Road right now? The fire is basically out, right? Well, it is basically out, even though they are putting out some hot spots right now. But the reason why you can't come down this road right now is this right here. Do you see this fire hose? Okay. So we have two big fire hoses like this coming down the road, and the reason for that, and across the road, and the reason for that is because the fire hydrant, both of the fire hydrants actually, are on the opposite side of the road. So as long as these hoses are crossing the road, you will not be allowed in this area. So hopefully that won't be too much longer. However, we have no estimation at this time of exactly how long they plan to keep these hoses out. So until then, you'll have to stay away and find another route. But of course, we'll keep you posted right here on the news. Reporting live in Garden City, Wendi Redman, WTOC News.
Hurricane Matthew took the life of an Isle of Hope father, leaving behind his wife and two young children.
Our Wendi Redman spoke with the widow, and Wendi, talk about an unimaginable tragedy here.
It really is. J.C. Davis told me she pleaded with her husband to evacuate with her and the kids, saying she had such a bad feeling about the storm. He said everything would be okay and he would stay. Of all of their disagreements, she said he was almost always right, but this time she was right. And she wishes so badly she was wrong. Hurricane Matthew hit the whole Isle of Hope community hard. For J.C. Davis and her children, the storm changed their lives forever.
We're going to be experiencing our first Halloween without him, our first Thanksgiving, our first Christmas.
J.C.'s husband, Jefferson Davis, was killed in the hurricane. She said she begged him to evacuate with her and the kids, but he told her,
I've been a ranger in the Army, I was U.S. Border Patrol, I've been in 2 helicopter crashes. The storm is not going to kill me. And he said, I need to stay and help anybody who needs to be able to get off the island.
The loving husband, father of 2, and military veteran decided to stay to help others, while J.C. and the kids left for North Carolina.
While we're driving there, we're listening to the newscast, and we hear how many people had died in Haiti. And my son said, is Daddy going to die? And I said, no, baby, Daddy's not going to die.
After the storm passed Saturday morning, J.C. remembers trying to get a hold of her husband.
I don't hear from him, and then I start calling him, and it's just ringing.
So she sent a neighbor to check.
My neighbor said, oh God, I gotta call you back. And about an hour later, my neighbor calls and says, the police are here, and they have ripped off your house. And I said, is he alive or dead? And he said, we don't know, we can't find him.
Their house was crushed so badly by a large tree, she said they couldn't get him out until that night.
The shock of becoming a widow at 39 with a son who just turned 6 on Sunday and a little girl who just turned 2 3 weeks ago. We were supposed to spend my son's birthday weekend at Disney World. We had planned a surprise birthday party weekend for him that we had to cancel.
Instead, they attended a celebration of life ceremony for their father. Now, as crews on Isle of Hope remove all reminders of Hurricane Matthew, JC is hoping she'll figure out how she'll get through this.
I'm afraid that once the debris is all cleaned up and the trees are gone, that we're going to be forgotten about. And that is when I'm going to need the help the most.
If you would like to help the Davis family, they do have a GoFundMe account set up. We have that link for you on our website. Tubby's in Thunderbolt is accepting donations as well. Also, JC Davis told me she wants something positive to come out of this tragedy. She said since her husband battled PTSD, she really wants to help others going through the same thing.
A lot of you are sharing your outrage with us as you watch one violent inmate after another being paroled from prison. And like us, you want to know, how is this happening?
Yeah, and certainly tonight we're going to show you a process in the parole that you've never seen before, because as Wendi Redman shows us, it's never been exposed like this before. So Wendi, let's start with who makes up the parole board.
Well, David, 5 people are appointed by the governor to make the life-altering decision of which convict sentenced to life in prison should be set free on parole. I went to Atlanta to meet with the chairman of the Pardons and Paroles Board, and he took me through step-by-step how parole in Georgia works. He also decided to share with the WTOC viewers something no other media has ever seen.
I've met with a murder victim who said, my daughter is in a cemetery over on the east side. Her sentence was life. She's never coming back. And we believed in the criminal justice system, and we believed when this person received a life sentence, it was for life. And I don't understand why he's now getting out. And I can't explain that to them.
Chatham County District Attorney Meg Heap says oftentimes the public can't understand why some offenders are allowed back on our streets without serving their full sentence. How do you make sense of some of these early releases?
I don't. I don't.
Every state has a different system when it comes to pardons and paroles. About half allow the board to have full authority. Georgia is one of those states. That means the board has the power to release most inmates before the end of their maximum sentence. Nearly all states have parole board hearings. Some are open to the public, others are not. But 3 states don't hold hearings at all. One is Georgia. Board members here don't get together to make parole decisions. They vote alone. More than half of the states won't show you what evidence and testimony they use to make their final decisions. And you guessed it, Georgia is one of them. That leaves Georgia and Texas as the only 2 states with full authority, no hearings, and secret files. Yes, all of the information that the board uses to make these decisions is classified as a state secret. So you and I will never know exactly what the board was looking at when they made their determination. That is, unless they decide to declassify it.
We have asked before, what are you looking at when you make a determination of parole? Could we see? And we were told no.
Why is it a secret?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. And it's only a secret because it's our agency that's actually collectively bringing together all these reports. But they come from somewhere. And where they come from are not secrets, such as the investigation, the court documents. All those things are public records.
Well, we can't show you what specific information they consider in each case. We can show you, for the first time, their computer system. Board Chairman Terry Barnard says their team compiles that secret information and enters it into their system. One board member will then get the case. He will look at things like the inmate's name, age, crime, behavior in prison, victim statements, and more. All of that information also goes through a risk assessment program, determining how likely it is an inmate will be successful on parole. The board member will then vote yes or no for parole, put down some notes about how they came to their decision, and all of that information is passed along electronically to another randomly chosen board member. Once they have a majority vote, the process stops for that inmate, meaning in some cases, not every board member will review the case. The board can go through as many as 75 cases a day.
The board's forced with a huge workload. We only have 5 board members, and I think it's about 13,000 a year.
Yes, 13,000 cases a year. So what does this mean for Chatham County and our crime problem?
Savannah does have a crime problem, but the problem is not parole. Out of Chatham County, which is well over 200,000 people, 900 of them are on parole.
Parolees account for less than 3% of all arrests in Chatham County. And of that 3%, 75% of that really involves parole technical violations, some misdemeanor arrests and city ordinance violations, but really low-level stuff.
While those numbers may seem low, Metro Police say Savannah's most violent crimes are coming from only a handful of offenders. Regardless, Meg Heap says there should be what she calls truth in sentencing.
If you receive 5 years, then it's 5 years. If you receive life, then it's life.
To state that life should mean life, there is a sentence that's called life without parole. That means life.
If you're wondering, does prison overcrowding have anything to do with their decision? Chairman Barnard told me they have had to factor that in the past, but our prison population has actually gone down by about 10,000 in recent years, so it's not a problem now. If you're thinking 5 people in Atlanta are making decisions that affect our community, but they don't have a vested interest in us, you may be surprised to hear Chairman Barnard is from our community and still lives in McIntosh County.
Good evening, I'm Mike Seeler. Tonight, the families of that I-16 wreck at the Pooler Parkway that claimed 5 lives Wednesday are still working on funeral arrangements. One family who lost 2 people in the tragedy spent most of the day working on just that, but they did take some time to remember their loved ones as well. They invited our Wendi Redman inside their home where they were looking at photographs and reminiscing about the old times.
Yes,
Wendi?
they were, and they were trying to hold strong here, Mike, but it's tough because, as you said, they lost 2 loved ones, 66-year-old Judy Vincent and her son, 44-year-old Ronnie White. Judy's husband, Donald, said having the support of family, friends, and the community is really what's helping him get through this unthinkable tragedy.
Judy Vincent was driving her son Ronnie White to work Wednesday when another car hit them head-on. There were no survivors. Now family members are sifting through pictures, holding their memories close.
She was a good woman. I was with her 29 years.
Judy's husband Donald remembers the moment he found out about the tragedy from the coroner.
He said, asked me could I describe my wife, and I did. And he asked me could I describe my son, and I did. And then he wouldn't tell me. And that's when he told me that was them.
Donald describes Judy as a strong woman. She was a breast cancer survivor and suffered from fibromyalgia, but never complained of the pain. She was loving, an active member of her church, and ruled the roost.
Oh, she was spicy. Okay, yeah. You don't want to make her mad because she was spicy.
Ronnie was about to start a new job at a roofing company in Savannah. He had a strong bond with his dad.
Loved to fish, loved to hunt. He just outdoors. He really loved the river.
There's a beautiful picture of her right there.
Judy's son Albert lives in Charleston. He heard about the news on Facebook.
You only got one mom, yeah? You're gonna miss Christmas. Gonna miss family reunion. It's gonna be hard, man.
Judy's lifelong friend Nancy remembers the final time they spoke.
I'll see you at church tomorrow. And I said, okay, I love you. And she told me she loved me. That's the last words we had to say to each other.
Judy and Ronnie each had a dog. They now sit and wait for them to return.
Yeah, she's crying. Poor mama.
Judy was always the glue that held the family together.
She was one of the greatest women I ever knew.
And now her family is trying to channel her strength to get through their darkest time.
But we're a strong family. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna make it. But she's gonna be missed.
Well, the family spent most of today finalizing funeral arrangements at Strickland Funeral Home in Pooler. They tell me it will be an open funeral for anybody who wants to come and say goodbye. It is Sunday at 12:30.
Live, local, now. The News with WTOC starts right now with breaking news.
Wendi Redman here with some breaking news. A jury has reached a sentencing verdict in the Charleston church shooting trial for Dylan Roof, and they decided on death. Roof faced the jury for only about 5 minutes this morning. Roof told them it is his right to ask them to spare his life, but said he's not sure what good that would do. He said he still feels he had to do what he did. Prosecutors argued that even in Roof's last words to the jury, he's not remorseful, and urged the jury to send him to death row. The same jury last month convicted Roof of 33 federal crimes, including hate crimes and obstruction of religion. Now, a little more information on this decision for you. The entire jury had to be in favor of the death penalty for him to receive it. It could take more than a decade for his execution, depending on appeals and other court action. The last execution in South Carolina was in 2011. Inmates can choose the electric chair or lethal injection. Now, the state trial against Roof is delayed indefinitely. A judge ordered the delay to allow time to prepare for the state case since the federal trial was still ongoing. Roof faces a total of 13 state charges in the June 2015 shooting at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston. The state trial was originally supposed to begin January 17th. Again, this breaking news we are just receiving. The verdict in the Dylan Roof trial, and a jury just sentenced him to death. Keep it here on The News. We'll have much more information on this coming up on The News live at 5 from Charleston. This time I want to ask the audio booth if you could please pod up the sound on this, because I really want you to hear this. Take a listen.
Oh my gosh. No, babe, that's not going toward us. It's going away from us.
Okay, so just very chilling there. You can hear the sirens. You hear the concern in the voices of the family there recording that. Yeah, guys, we have something completely different to show you this time. This video is pretty insane. You actually have to see it here. So this is Fort Stewart area again, but keep your eye on the sky right there by the tree line, and you'll see what looks to be two twisters forming side by side. The crazy part is you see all these cars just driving by. There, you see it? Right in the middle of your screen. So all these people are driving by like maybe they don't even realize what is right behind them. So Big John, what do you make of what we're seeing right here? When the power goes out, we also want to stress you might want to go outside and check things out and see what's going on. But with the windy conditions, there's going to be a lot of debris around too. There might be some live wires out there that you don't know about that might be buried under that debris. You do not want to step on that. There are not going to be emergency crews to help you if that happens to you.
Live, local, now. The News with WTOC starts right now with breaking news.
Right now, government officials are urging residents in the path of Hurricane Matthew to take this storm very seriously.
More than 2 million people are urged to leave their homes in coastal Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina as the storm moves in.
That's right. And happening right now, the largest mandatory evacuation in the United States since Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast in 2012. This is a live look right now at Interstate 16 from the WTOC Chatham Parkway Skycam. You can see traffic moving pretty slowly westward there. And a look to the right there, you see some new video in Atlanta showing Interstate 75 northbound. It was backed up for miles.
Yeah, a lot of cars out there. Governor Nathan Deals ordered mandatory evacuations for everyone east of I-95 in Georgia's 6 coastal counties. So that's Chatham, Bryan, Liberty, McIntosh, Glenn, and Camden. And the Georgia Department of Transportation has turned Interstate 16, as we just saw, into a one-way evacuation route. So that eastbound is now going westbound. And we haven't seen a hurricane evacuation like this since a near miss with Hurricane Floyd back in 1999.
Well, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley has ordered additional evacuations along the southern part of the coast just to be safe from possible flooding from Hurricane Matthew. In Colleton County, the new evacuation routes are south of State Highway 63 and east of Interstate 95. In Jasper County, the order covers people south of State Highway 336 and west of U.S. Highway 321. Other evacuations are ongoing in Beaufort,
Charleston, Dorchester, Berkeley, Georgetown, and Horry counties.
We have live team coverage from across our viewing area, but first, we need to check in with our First Alert weather team.
Chief Meteorologist John Weatherby joins us now with the very latest on this dangerous storm. John?
Still a Category 4.
Well, Governor Nathan Deal in a news conference this afternoon urging those in the coastal empire once again to leave immediately ahead of Hurricane Matthew.
State authorities promise their help as the area braces for what they're calling a very serious situation. WTOC's Wright Gazaway joins us live from the Ports Authority. And Wright, the governor promised state resources for the storm, but we could also get some national help too. Oh,
I think we lost him. But he did say that the governor did say that he spoke with President Obama today, and the president did promise his commitment to federal aid if we do indeed need that. So we'll try to get back to Wright in that live shot with more from what Governor Deal said in that news conference in just a few minutes here.
All right, and if you do need to evacuate, go online for more resources. For example, you can find your evacuation route. If you don't know what it is, go to the Hurricane Center on WTOC.com. You can also download our free WTOC News and our weather apps for you as well, so a lot of tools at your disposal.
Okay, now I think we do have Wright Gazaway and more on what Governor Deal had to say this evening here in Savannah, right?
So Governor Deal started.
Hundreds of people already heeding that advice. They've made their way to the Civic Center for access to buses that will take them to shelters.
Yes, so if you do not have your own transportation, you're in the Savannah area and you need to evacuate, go to the Civic Center. And if you can't make it to the Civic Center on your own, get to the nearest Chatham area transit bus stop and they can take you there. Our Elizabeth Rollins joins us live with more details about what folks should do. Yeah, guys, it's been for that information, Elizabeth, very helpful. Shelters are open in Georgia and South Carolina. You can find a list of where those shelters are at WTOC.com.
All right, a mandatory evacuation went into effect in Tybee earlier, and we're going to see how people are heeding that order when we come back. We're going to check in with David Clue. He's out on Tybee tonight.
But first, let's take a live look outside if we can. There you go, just checking out the beach area to see our current weather conditions, and we're going to let you know what this beach is going to look like at this time tomorrow when we come back.